Murat, you've been at the top of the game, and you've also had some struggles with your form. What's the biggest difference for you when you're playing your best tennis?
Well, just keep the concentration day by day and try to be as stable as you can for throughout the season, because the season is pretty long and it's very easy to lose the confidence and it's very difficult to gain it.
And your sister's doing well on the women's tour. How does that factor in? Do you guys use each other as inspiration?
Well, I'm glad that she's doing well. She's been struggling for a couple of months at the beginning of the year, and she made some great decisions, and she's winning every tournament basically that she's playing. And I wish her good luck in the Olympic Games, and hopefully she'll do much better than me throughout the career.
And onto your match today. You're playing an opponent you've never played before, Dennis Gremelmayr. What are your thoughts going into that?
Well, he's lefty, uncomfortable, uses a lot of spin, plays flat from the backhand. Loops from the forehand service. It's also very dangerous because the other bounces the other way around. So you need to be very concentrated from the beginning and try to be aggressive.
Good luck. Thank you, Murat.
The city host to the Countrywide Classic. Tennis Channel presents part of the Olympus U.S. Open Series, the Countrywide Classic, the fourth stop on the Olympus U.S. Open Series on the campus of UCLA, specifically Strauss Stadium. The second quarterfinal, Murat Safin and Dennis Gremelmayr about to come your way. Hello everyone, Sam Gore and Leif Shiras again with you here in LA. And Leif, Murat Safin, it doesn't matter what his ranking is. He is one of the most feared and respected opponents on the ATP.
He is. He's an extraordinary player, and the only thing predictable about him is that he's going to be unpredictable. Which Murat Safin will show up. You feel that he's the favorite today, but anything can happen. The word so often used with him is mercurial, but also talented. He certainly possesses all the skills to be one of the great champions out there.
A two-time Grand Slam champion, almost added a third Grand Slam title to his resume earlier this year as he had a remarkable run to the semifinals of Wimbledon, upsetting number 3 seed Novak Djokovic in the process.
That was really something of a special moment for him. He'd never actually put together this kind of run before at the All England Club, so it was nice to see him get it done. Another page in his storied history.
Now today he is going to be facing a German, Dennis Gremelmayr, who we know has a temper like Murat Safin, but is he going to have the game to compete with him?
He's a very talented little left-hander. He's really can play from anywhere on the court. We saw him at the French Open play very well. And he's had some good wins. He had wins over James Blake in Barcelona. He can beat some of the top guys, and I think he's comfortable with the big stage.
Gremelmayr just got bumped off the German Olympic team, so he's playing here with a sense of urgency, maybe with a sense of purpose, a lot of fire in his game. It'll be interesting to see if that carries over to his match with Safin.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see some exciting tennis today. Both these guys produce shots from anywhere on the court, so it'll come down to who can produce at the biggest moments.
Safin has never won this title here. He'll be trying to make the semifinals when we return to Los Angeles for the second quarterfinal of the Countrywide Classic. Well, all the stars of the tennis world have joined those of the entertainment world here in Los Angeles as we are in the backdrop of Hollywood here at UCLA. Karina Marayu is standing by. She's a little bit Hollywood herself. Karina, you have something for us?
Thanks, Sam. Well, I'm in LA. I gotta walk the walk. I was just gonna mention to you guys, I know you talked about Dennis Gremelmayr not making the German Olympic team and then getting replaced. He actually got replaced by Rainer Schüttler. Schüttler went to a court of appeals after he made the semifinals of Wimbledon and appealed to replace Gremelmayr on the German Olympic team, and they ruled in his favor. So Schüttler is at the Olympics while Gremelmayr is competing here.
That's right. Basically what happens is your ranking has to be at a certain level to qualify for the team. Schüttler's was not before Wimbledon. After he had that great run at Wimbledon, he was actually ranked higher than Gremelmayr and said, well, hey, I should be on the team, and that Court of Appeal agreed with him.
First set, Murat Safin to serve.
Murat Safin will begin serving here in the second quarterfinal. The winner of this one will get the winner of the Roddick-Jekyll quarterfinal, which we played tonight.
Let first up.
Safin, of course, a Russian, 15.
Calls Monte Carlo home now. Comes into this event ranked 44 in the world. He's been as high as #1 back in 2000, made it there briefly. 15 career singles titles, including 2 Grand Slams. Can't dig that one out.
15.
Safin 19 and 17 this year, looking for his 20th match win of the season. Beat John Isner in the opening round here, then took out Wayne Odesnik, 2 Americans.
(30-15).
And moves ahead 30-15.
And he put in a lot of good tennis the early parts of the year, but has struggled. And only in April and May did he start finding his winning form. And it's the difference between hitting the ball well and converting that into winning tennis matches. But Safin has started to do that.
Gremelmayr, 26 years old. He turns 27 on the 16th of this month. A German, born in Heidelberg. Currently ranked 89 in the world. He's been as high as 59 and has never won a title.
40-30.
Game point for Safin. That career high ranking, though, for Gremelmayr was this year, back in May. As Gremelmayr made a nice run to the semis of Barcelona during the clay court season, and had a nice run to the semis in Estoril as well.
Game Safin.
Safin holds serve to start this second quarterfinal. Let's begin determining who has the edge in this match. Leif?
Yeah, this is a very captivating matchup because they're both talented players, both have tremendous backhands. I'm going to give the edge to Gremelmayr on the forehand wing. When Safin's hitting his forehand well, he'll keep up, but it does have a tendency to break down. The serves and the returns will go to Safin. The volleys, well, let's say they're pretty even. I'm not sure, but I'm going to give both these guys a check for intangibles because they're both here. And I think there's some special circumstances for both of them. Gremelmayr, having missed the Olympics, he's got some motivation. I think Safin is on the move after having played so well at Wimbledon.
Gremelmayr basically spent last year on the Challenger circuit, and this is a year in which he's been able to spend most of the year at the ATP level. Finished in the top 125 the first time in his career last year as a result of those Challenger results.
That two-hander skidding off the baseline. Here's a look at the scouting report.
15.
Solid off the backhand and the forehand. Again, lefty with plenty of talent, and a bit like Marat Safin, that he can be emotional and lose his head. See if he can keep it together today.
15 all. Gremelmayr with a big win in his last round here, upset Feliciano Lopez, another talented lefty, the number 4 seed, beat him in straight sets.
30-15.
Marat Safin's scouting report.
And right now, confidence, he has to be feeling good about his game. One of the great two-handers really ever in our game, and you know, his weaknesses are fairly well known. He's had issues with his concentration, his focus, and the forehand can break down.
Safin trying to break the ball.
30.
But he's just such a sensational athlete. 6 feet 4 inches tall, moves well, plays big. That's why he was a world number 1.
Well, Leif, we're fortunate that we get to see a lot of guys chase a tennis ball around a court year round. There's very few guys with as much as we see that you sort of stop when they're just hitting. Safin's one of those guys. I walked by a doubles court yesterday. He's still in the doubles. Just the sound of the ball off his racket is different. It's just huge, the amount of pace he generates with such a fluid swing.
Yeah, that was a great play by Gremelmayr there. And Safin does have the kind of backhand that hopefully we'll get a look at later in our show in more detail, but that truly is one of the great two-handers of all time. I mean, that is just a beautifully produced shot, so dependable, rock solid, never breaks down, and he can do it all.
Forehand winner from Safin to stay in the game.
How good was the return of serve just to get the point started? So Safin has come out all guns firing. And here's a tracking of that inside-out forehand winner.
Already 2 forehand winners of his 4 total. Gremelmayr has yet to put a ball away. And struggling to hold here. Deuce. Break point for Safin.
And it's Safin.
Safin still in the doubles, as I mentioned. He and Igor Kunitsin are a team and have made the semis. Playing a lot of tennis here in Los Angeles is Safin. Safin got to the quarters last year. He's never been past this stage here at the Countrywide Classic.
Yes.
First break point comes and goes for Safin. Second deuce.
Now that's a tough position for Safin, as it is for any player when you're running outside the doubles line. Do you go back cross court, or do you try and go for something big down the line? And he said, oh, you know what, I'm going to go for it.
Too big.
Missed it.
Gremelmayr's pretty much played the role of counterpuncher here in these first 2 games. No winners, no unforced errors. But he's at game point. And Gremelmayr holds, faced a break point. We talked about the Safin backhand. Let's take a closer look at it.
So often the two-hander is about the left hand. The right hand is more of a guide. Again, the body opens through the torso and the hips on the two-hander, and that's how you get that full long swing and the follow-through around your right shoulder. A lot of great things happening. Again, the racket head is so solid on the ball.
The way Safin plays, to me, has allowed him to be a part of some of the most memorable matches I can think of. The run he had to the finals of the Australian Open in 2004. The match he played against Agassi in the semis is a match that stands out in my brain forever. It was almost like they were playing ping pong, table tennis. I mean, the
virtual tennis.
It was unbelievable how the ball was coming off their racket so fast, so quick. 5 sets. And he ended Agassi's 26-match win streak down in Australia that night.
Safin dictating play, which is something he'll need to do today. Of course, the match I remember is the U.S. Open final when he beat Pete Sampras.
2000.
Because I don't think there was anyone in that stadium thinking it was going to be anyone other than Pete Sampras lifting the trophy at the end of that match. And Safin played probably the greatest match he's ever produced.
That was a straight set win. Safin moves ahead 30-15. That was his first Grand Slam title. And then he won his second at the Australian Open in 2005. Taking out Federer and Hewitt en route to the title down under.
Gremelmayr represents the sort of problem that Marty Fish faced in his quarterfinal against Florence Serra, an opponent who doesn't make too many errors. You have to win every point. Fish was able to get through it in straight sets. Now the test is for Safin. Can he do the same? He's going to need a lot of those good first serves. When he beat Djokovic at Wimbledon, he never was broken. I mean, so when you have a player like Safin with his power and his talents, if he doesn't lose his serve, it's going to be very tough to beat him.
2 top 10 wins at Wimbledon over Djokovic, #3, Wawrinka, #9. Ended up losing to Federer. Play on, deuce. That run to the semis at Wimbledon put him in some pretty elite company. Federer, Nalbandian, Djokovic, and now Safin, the only active players that have made at least the semis of all 4 Grand Slams. That's something even Rafael Nadal hasn't done. He's failed to make the semis of the U.S. Open.
Yeah, at the rate that Nadal is going, you wonder how long that will last.
Yeah, we may be adding a 5th name to that list. September 7th. Game point Safin to stay in front of Gremelmayr. And Safin holds. Marat Safin, so many memorable moments over the course of his career. Of course, it all started in 2000. Sampras had won his last 8 Grand Slam finals, but on that evening, young Marat Safin claimed his first, the U.S. Open. A much older looking Marat Safin than that 2000 U.S. Open title here on court today in Los Angeles. 28 years old, looking for the semifinals. 1-2.
Gremelmayr cannot afford those kinds of breakdowns where he's left the ball just sitting right about service length depth. Safin's going to lean on that ball. German's not going to have much luck.
He had really been struggling coming into this event. He had lost 9 straight matches until he beat Fognini here in the first round. Marat Safin's Tennis Warehouse player profile wears the Adidas clothing line and the racket that allows him to crush the ball like he does. The head Microgel Prestige Mid. And of course, sticking with the Adidas, which is one of the big sponsors here at the Countrywide Classic. Sticking with the Adidas on the shoes. Triple break point.
Yeah, here's the challenge coming up.
On the right service line, ball was called out.
Our First chase review of the second quarterfinal. And it was good. So it will not be a break chance for Safin yet. Back to love 30.
Now they teed it up again, and he double faulted again. So that backfired. So Safin with some chances.
Safin breaks as Gremelmayr starting to stew over there. We talked about his temper. Look at the women's U.S. Open Series winners. Caroline Wozniak winning the Bank of the West Classic. And then the other Safin, Dinara Safina. She has already clinched the women's U.S. Open Series title, most recently winning in Canada over the weekend. Her second Olympus U.S. Open Series title in a row, putting herself in line for the biggest payout in tennis history. This year, the winner of the U.S. Open gets $1.5 million. If you win the U.S. Open, the Olympus U.S. Open Series Challenge, you get an additional $1 million bonus if you win the U.S. Open. Safina has clinched this challenge, and they're all playing for second place now. Karina Morayu standing by. Karina, what do you think of Dinara Safina? Is this for real? Are we going to see more of this from her?
I think we're going to see a lot more from her. She is in shape. She is mentally much tougher than she was, and she, in my opinion, is the hottest player on the Sony Ericsson WTA Tour right now.
French Open runner-up this year.
That's awesome tennis. And Karina, I think it says a lot about the connection between the body and the mind. You know, when you're fit and strong, your mind, you can play longer, you can concentrate harder, and you keep your focus. And I'm not sure you can always say the same thing about the brother, Marat, that he's made that same physical commitment.
Well, Dinara was she mentioned after her win in Berlin, actually, that being hot-tempered runs in the family, and she's done an unbelievable job of maturing and working on the mental side of her game as well as the physical.
It's an interesting relationship between Marat and Dinara. They don't show up at each other's matches very often, but they do talk regularly. And I was kidding around. I said the reason Safin did so well at Wimbledon is because he had to put up with everybody talking about his little sister's run at the French.
That's right.
Game point for Safin. And he holds her to stay in front by a break. Marat Safin trying to run away with his first set. He leads 4-1. Safin trying to run away with his first set. Karina, you wanted to follow up on a point. We were talking about Dinara and Marat.
I will contribute to that conversation right after this point.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Love 15.
Well, Leif mentioned the discipline that Safina has and the athleticism that Marat has. I think it comes more naturally to Marat. He is a more naturally gifted athlete. So Dinara has really had to work hard to get in better shape. And I think that's translated to her work ethic throughout her game. And I think that's something that her brother, being more naturally gifted, isn't as disciplined with.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, because he just was born with these great hands, the ability to time the ball right on the money every time he shoots. an example of it. You know, he was able to get his racket under that ball and just control it softly enough to challenge Gremelmayr.
15-30.
He's a very instinctive player.
I think you can draw some parallels from what you're saying, Leif, to Safin and Federer. Is when Federer first started, he seemed to have all the shots and had trouble harnessing that. Didn't quite know when to use what shot. Now he was able to obviously get it all together and become one of the greatest of all times, where Safin's never been able to find that consistency over time. But today he's been very consistent. A chance to go up 2 breaks and serve for the opening set.
And first serve.
Save break point.
30.
It's a pretty good play, the drop shot. It wasn't a particularly good one, but look at that touch. Again, just squeezing his racket under the ball as it dropped.
And how about the effort from Safin? I mean, he's not letting anything go. Still break point. And Safin gets the break as that net cord fails to carry Gremelmayr's ball over to the other side.
And Safin has really been able to break down the German, because you can see that Gremelmayr has so much swing in his stroke, and Safin hits the ball so flat and so hard that he's really stressing Gremelmayr. And it's hard to be exact when you have to take a big swing and the ball's coming quickly.
First time these two have ever met. And obviously Gremelmayr not making the adjustment.
Yeah, Safin is just building the highlight reel today. I mean, look at that open stance forehand, and well, maybe I'll just finish this one. He's up on the baseline.
10th winner of the match.
Look at how the racket head drops below the ball there. We'll see that one again today.
Mid-court overhead gives Safin a 30-love lead. Safin has made the semis at all the slams. He's won 2 Grand Slams. He's been a runner-up twice. He's been briefly ranked #1, but despite all of those accomplishments, Safin still only finished inside the top 10 3 times in year-end rankings. As that consistency has been the one issue with him. And Gremelmayr back in it. Where does that pace come from, Leif? I mean, he just knocks the cover off. I mean, even when you're watching him practice.
He's a very natural talent. The racket moves so easily through the hit. It's a real natural power. You don't sense that he's ever overhitting.
Right. Set point for Safin. They're trying to finish this first set off in under half an hour.
Ball, please. Yellow ball. Thank you.
Been on court 27, now 28 minutes.
Deuce.
Gremelmayr hoping this Safin storm blows itself out in the second set, as he's being overwhelmed at the moment.
Looking backhand from Gremelmayr.
Advantage Gremelmayr.
Gremelmayr now responding with some flat drives of his own.
97-mile-an-hour winner brings him to break point for the first time. Safin is up 2 breaks, so he can afford to give one back if he has to. And he does give one back. Safin serving for the set, fails to convert. Gremelmayr still alive. Marat Safin's latest Grand Slam title was in Australia in 2005. I guess, Leif, the question we want to ask here is, can Marat Safin win another major?
You'd think that he had enough skill and enough in him to go there, but considering that was the last tournament he's won, period, 2005, the Australian Open, and since then, it's only been the 3 guys, Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, who have won titles that are majors. So I have a feeling it's pretty crowded at the top. I'm not sure Safin can crash the party any longer.
15.
Safin could not close the set out in the last game. Hernan Gumi, South American, now coaching Marat Safin.
And he's one of a long list of coaches that Safin has used in his career. I know in one year, I think it was 2004, he had 5 different coaches. It's a merry-go-round in his camp.
Good second serve from Gremelmayr. That ball just exploding off the court. And maybe we're seeing a little bit of what will come from Gremelmayr in the second set if he can't get out of this deep hole here in the first. He's picked it up the last couple of games.
That was a great return of serve and an even better play from Gremelmayr up the line. We talked at the start that these guys are shot makers, and they're proving it to be such. Wow.
Safin with 11 winners, Gremelmayr with 5. Most of Gremelmayr's, though, have come in the latter stages of this set. And Gremelmayr has taken the last 2 games to get closer to Safin. Safin again, though, will serve for the set here at 5-3. He failed to serve it out at 5-1. We'll track your favorite players in the Olympus US Open Series throughout the summer as they compete for a $1 million bonus at the US Open. Go to usopenseries.com. Safin serving now up 5-3.
Love 15.
And the first double fault from Safin. So things really starting to wobble now. No more room for error if he's going to close out this set.
Well, he got the first serve in. He had plenty of time, but he overplayed the forehand. So starting to feel the pressure of trying to close out Gremelmayr.
9 unforced errors now from Safin. 3 times as many as Gremelmayr.
15-13.
And sometimes, you know, Safin, you get the feeling that he doesn't hit enough good shots, that he's trying to hit a lot of great ones all the time. You know, sometimes just being good can get you by. You don't always have to hit the great one.
Another interesting thing I think about watching Safin Leaf is the fact that very rarely are you involved in a Safin match where the crowd's not with him. They usually always seem to be pulling for Safin. Everybody loves this guy all around the world. It's a crowd favorite. Other players also seem to really like Safin. And a set point again for Safin here, 5-3.
First set.
Safin making the most of his second chance, closes out the set. The number 5 seed is set away from the semifinals here at the Countrywide Classic. Murat Safin has just closed out the opening set. Luxury boxes up there, grabbing some lunch. And there's a split screen between the two backhands from this brother-sister combination.
Yeah, beautifully constructed shots. They look a little similar because they learned from their mom, Rauza, who has been a long-time coach in Russian tennis circles. Their mom also coached Elena Dementieva, Natasha Zvereva, Anastasia Miskina. The Safin family has been an important part of Russian tennis.
Their father was a champion sprinter in Russia.
That wasn't an easy smash.
No. The Safin family has a small tennis club in Moscow.
It's interesting to note, though, that at 13, you know, there wasn't enough good tennis at that time for Safin in Moscow, so he had to go to Spain to really get the kind of intense training and competition he felt he needed to develop, and his parents felt too.
15.
Was in Spain from age 13 to 19, and you see Safin hanging out with the Spanish guys on tour a lot of times. That's his second language.
Interesting to note the number of players who have really developed in Spain. Svetlana Kuznetsova, Andy Murray, played a number of his teenage years in Spain.
I
think one of the great mistakes in Spanish tennis was Svetlana Kuznetsova, when she went there, wanted to become a Spanish citizen, wanted to give up her Russian citizenship, and at the time, it was before she was as good as she is now. The Spanish didn't want her. Said, we don't think this player will amount to anything, and so no, we don't want her to become a Spanish citizen. What a mistake that was.
Well, just a little more evidence that player development is, you know, not a science, it's an art, and there's a fair amount of luck involved to some degree. You can identify talent, but getting into the top 100, the top 50, the top 10, that's something different.
Oh, Safin spanks that drop shot. Get that out of here.
40-30.
Now, I'm not sure this is the play, because that ball sits up pretty easily. And again, he has the instincts of a clay courter, so he's going to utilize the drop shot. But Safin was ready to go there. He's looking pretty fit, isn't he? Nice run.
Game.
Gremelmayr holds serve. First game of the second set. Let's look back at the opening set, which Safin won 6-3.
Just solid tennis from the Russian out of the blocks, and he was building confidence every winner he struck. And he was finding some impressive form, doing so many things well. And if he can serve well, he's a formidable player. He could very much win this tournament.
He broke Gremelmayr in 2 of Gremelmayr's first 3 service games.
And that's what you're looking for, that short ball where you can push your man around and ultimately finish. Yeah, Safin spent so much of the first set standing in the blue.
Yeah.
Gremelmayr was standing in the green. It was a real estate battle, and Safin was getting the best of it.
Set point here for Safin.
Yeah, and that's right there evidence of what I was talking about. It doesn't need to be a great winner, just a good approach and a good volley.
And now back out live. Safin misfiring 15 all. Safin this year failed to win consecutive matches all the way through April before getting to the quarters at Munich, which is another reason that semifinal run at Wimbledon was so surprising. He really hadn't had any impressive results until then.
Now, in his defense, however, he lost second round of the Australian to Baghdadis.
Right.
And that match was some of the most remarkable tennis in terms of stroke production and ball striking. I mean, those guys were playing some brilliant tennis. So there were some hints that Safin was timing and beginning to find the kinds of things he wants to do on a tennis court. And as I said, the winning came later. But he was building a foundation of stroke production that he needs.
It's a 5-set loss Safin sustained to Baghdadis. Safin overpowering Gremelmayr with the backhand to get to 30 all.
30 all.
I think you can see some of Gumi's fingerprints around Safin's game, because Safin's trying to play the forehand with a little more topspin. If you watch his follow through, it's up around his head, his ears. He's trying to put the ball into play more on the forehand. Don't give away so many errors off that wing.
Gremelmayr with the pass.
Yeah, and this approach shot, maybe not good enough. You can see it landed a little bit short. I mean, look at how far back in the court he is, and that's 21st century tennis, hitting winners from back at the screen. No one does it better than Rafael Nadal.
Break point for Gremelmayr, which would be a terrible way to start the set for Safin after winning that first. But again, Gremelmayr started to look better toward the end of that first set.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just a remarkable shot. Down break point, curling it cross court. He's got boatloads of confidence on the two-hander. He can really do anything he wants with it.
Safin now about to face his third break point against him. Gremelmayr's converted once, but Safin has not trailed by a break in this match. The break back was in the first set for Gremelmayr. And there it is. He's going to challenge it. So a chase review coming up for Safin as the call stands. It's the break to Gremelmayr.
And again, the forehand just starting to leak a little bit too much for Safin. From deuce, he's missed 2 now, but unless there's some correction here on the chase review, let's see. Yeah, it caught the line. So it did. We'll play it again.
So no break yet.
First serve. Advantage Gremelmayr.
There are times on his forehand where he just comes out of the hit a little too early. He's got to stay with the ball.
Safin making the most of his second chance. Gets it back to deuce. Under 24-mile-an-hour serve. Safin with 3 aces today. Missed it.
Advantage Gremelmayr.
He put himself in a winning position. And that time, just not enough feel on the stretch volley. Good instinct by Gremelmayr. He didn't panic. He forced Safin to volley to win the point.
There's the break. Safin in a love 2 hole here to start set number 2.
Gremelmayr is by 2 games to none.
Time for more Wilson trivia for you. No Russian has ever won the Countrywide Classic. Only one has reached the final. Who was it? You gonna guess?
I've got a guess in mind. I'm not going to give it up though, because I don't want our public to know what I'm thinking.
I have one in mind.
I think it was a former world number 1.
Gremelmayr up 2-love now to start the second set after dropping the first 6-3.
Yeah, see, this is when Safin begins to get sloppy, when he goes for too much, and now the forehand's creating the problem, and that was one of the keys to this match that we talked about, was forehand breakdowns. And you don't want to be leading that category on forced errors.
Leading it by a lot. Fourth winner of the set from Safin to go along with his 5 unforced errors.
15 on.
Yeah, you just don't serve into that wing. Better to go into the body.
Very inconsistent patch of play here from Safin, up and down. Winners followed by unforced errors. Has not been able to maintain the momentum he had from winning that first set. It sort of felt like he just barely crossed the finish line in the first set.
40-50.
Gremelmayr with a lot more confidence and momentum.
Yeah,
to go up 3-love.
Yeah, and that's what Gremelmayr is going to do. He's just going to hit good shots all day. I mean, he really hasn't, made the highlight reel yet, but it's this slow and steady pace that's getting him back into this. He's just not giving away much.
First set.
Well, for the first few games, Gremelmayr had no winners, no unforced errors. He was just putting the ball back in play and waiting for Safin to either hit the winner or make the error. And here in the second set, Safin is making more errors than winners. Nope. It's been a perfect start for Gremelmayr as Safin starting to get frustrated after winning the first. He's down love 3 here in the second. Well, we've just started seeing some of the frustration of Safin here in Los Angeles, but here's some of his meltdowns from other moments across his career. He's a world-class racket smasher. Noticed on this hot day we didn't include the one of him dropping his shorts. One match he got frustrated with a linesman. Got a little fine for that. They love him everywhere he goes, as we've touched on. Safin looking for his first game of the second set. Gremelmayr is way behind the baseline. Safin's having a tough time hitting through him. Here's a chase review of that call. It was called good. And if it stands, it's a winner from Safin. Right in that shadow. And a good call.
30-15.
Yeah, and every point Gremelmayr's asking Safin the question, can you finish against me? And force you to hit a low percentage, high risk winner.
Second set.
So far, Safin has been able to do enough of that to take the opening set.
Gremelmayr's everywhere right now.
Yeah, the German is looking fairly Spanish. He's covering the court, defending up a storm, and getting the best of Safin in this exchange.
Safin tried to put the ball all over the court, but Gremelmayr was there each time. And Safin 30 all. Gremelmayr looking for a chance to break and go up 4-love.
Well, the Borger was there in the middle of the court, Marat. I know. Well, I cannot. Let it. First serve.
We haven't seen that since the opening set.
40-30.
Safin with 4 aces for the match. Game point.
Yes.
Safin's on the board. Let's answer that Wilson trivia question from earlier. Who was the last Russian to reach the final here?
I'm going to say Yevgeny Kafelnikov.
That's who I was thinking. Let's see.
Unless it goes back even further.
Oh, Tursunov. Forgot about that. That's not really fair, though. Tursunov's been trying to become an American citizen since, for a few years, but it's never gone through.
It's a good question. It's a good one.
It's technically correct.
Love 15.
Gremelmayr, a German who never played the juniors on the international stage. He went straight from junior tennis in Germany to turning pro. He didn't play the Grand Slams as a junior. And it's been a pretty slow climb for him out of the challengers.
15.
Yeah, if you look at his record, he has 22 career match wins. I mean, that's almost as many wins as Safin has this year.
And 10 of those have been in 2008. This has really been...
There's a real gulf in experience here between these two.
This has been the big year for Gremelmayr in his career. 2 semis, trying to make it a third.
30-15.
Was a well-disguised drop shot. It looked like he was going to play something heavy. Instead, just at the last second, changed his swing.
40-15.
And now he's starting to do the little things well, like getting a lot of first serves. Here's again that last second changeup. Again, he prepares like he's going to have a big swing and then just shortens it up. Just carves it underneath nicely.
1 hour of on-court time and
Gremelmayr.
100-degree heat. Gremelmayr is without an unforced error here in the second set. It's been a perfect response from losing the first. And there's some of the people without a ticket trying to get a good vantage point to see this match. We're here at UCLA on the campus. And Marat Safin won the first set, but is trailing 1-4 here in the second. Safin has just not found a way to break through Gremelmayr here in this set. And that was a much better looking point from him. A forced error.
$30-15.
Safin's third double fault. 2 of them have come here, though, in the second set. Joining us. Karina, I've felt a breeze picking up here. Are you starting to feel that down on the court?
I wish. No. You guys are up high. Down here, it's really hot on the court. I'm not feeling much of a breeze for these players.
We talked about, though, that Safin seems like he's in really good shape right now. Do either of the two look like they're feeling the effects?
I don't know if it's the heat or just the way the second set is going. Safin just has that dejected look on his face, kind of the hang dog body language. And I think I've noticed the dynamic of this match similar to the Fish-Sarah match we saw earlier. Gremelmayr, much like Sarah, playing from really far behind the baseline, defending really well, and the match really up to Safin like it was Fish earlier. He was the more aggressive player. Notice his first service percentage. I don't know what the stats are up there, but it looks like it's gone down significantly in the second set.
Well, that's a great observation, Karina. Safin's first serve percentage in the second set is just 38%, and Gremelmayr's up to 76%. And that's their percentages for the match. But in the set, it's a huge difference between the two. Nice.
Yeah, this option is available to Safin. He just has to be willing to come in, and that time he took some of the angle away by hitting that approach fairly centrally but deep.
And Safin, Karina mentioned the bad body language. He's only down a break here. This is not an insurmountable lead from Gremelmayr.
But I think you're right, Leif. Safin can afford to come in a little bit more. Those balls are landing in the middle of the court, and he has the opportunity to take advantage of that and start moving forward, even if just mentally to give himself a more aggressive mindset during the point.
Oh, Safin knocked off his feet.
He looked like he was in real pain. I'm not sure what that was from, whether he scraped his elbow.
Maybe fell on the elbow.
He came down hard. I'm sitting about 20 feet from him. His feet just went right out from under him. I think he came down hard on his left side.
Yeah, that looked like a fairly violent fall. Almost looked like he may have hyperextended his arm a little bit.
He just gave the thumbs up, though. So.
He's tough. Safin will continue the battle under the watchful eye of his coach, Ernan Gumi there. Game point Gremelmayr for a 5-2 lead. And an ace from Gremelmayr if it stands. It was called good. It's just 107 miles an hour. It's like a changeup in baseball, and it worked. Right on the line, if the call was correct. And it was.
Game Gremelmayr.
So an ace from Gremelmayr puts him a game away from forcing this into a third. Safin serves to stay in the second set when we return to the Countrywide Classic in Los Angeles. Murat Safin showing the new ball to Dennis Gremelmayr. 2-5, Safin serving to stay in the set. Karina, you're down on the court. Can you tell a difference when you're sitting down there watching the ball come off Safin's racket than from other guys? I mean, does he really hit it that much harder in person?
He does. In the first set especially, I think he's lost his rhythm a little bit here in the second. But he's got so much racket head acceleration through the ball. And Leif said it earlier, it just seems to come so naturally and effortlessly for him.
I've always felt that way. You can watch a lot of guys hit, but Safin just is special. Good second serve. Gives Safin the 30-love lead.
And the sound that the ball makes off his racket down here, it's a really heavy sound, different to the sound that it makes off the rackets of other players.
This has been his best service game so far, the second set.
Well, I think the new balls are going to help him tremendously. I think the ball's going to move through the air much quicker for him.
Oh, look what I found. Safin with a love hold to stay in the set. This is the second quarterfinal of the day. The winner here will play the winner of the quarterfinal you can watch tonight on ESPN2 at 11 Eastern. You can find out if Andy Roddick can make the semis here. He'll be taking on Frenchman Marc Jiquel. Again, 11 on ESPN2, Roddick and Jiquel tonight. Here on Tennis Channel, mid-afternoon in Los Angeles, Safin and Gremelmayr. Gremelmayr serving for the second set.
Yeah, one American is already through to the semifinals. That's Marty Fish, who took out Florence Serra, another Frenchman. So it'll be another USA-French battle to decide who is into the semis at the very top of the draw. Well, this guy's doing a lot of things well. He's really managed his emotions, managed his game well. Of course, we'll have a semifinal for you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Well, even if he had made the shot, you could see his momentum was going to carry him into the net. He would have lost the point.
30-15.
Good stuff from Safin. Safin trying to stay in the set. Gremelmayr trying to close it out. Sometimes it's easy to get to this point in the set if you're the lower ranked player, but can you close it out?
I missed it. And I mean, that's the kind of pressure Safin needs to apply. Make this man come up with some ridiculously difficult passes. That time he couldn't.
So we're going to have a set point or a break point at the conclusion of this next one. 30 all at 5-3 in the second.
Or a challenge.
You just have to get the last word, don't you?
And again, he's doing the little things well. First serve, he earned the short ball. He did the right thing. He came in, put the pressure on Safin.
Gremelmayr arrives at set point. Chance to send this into a third and final set. Safin is thinking, what do I have to do to win a point? I can't get through this guy. Gremelmayr takes the second set behind this incredible
6 games to 3
defense. And finally, Safin could not handle it. Dennis Gremelmayr has just given Marat Safin his first set loss here this week. We're headed to a third to decide a spot in the semis.
Time.
Back here at UCLA, Countrywide Classic quarterfinal. Boy, that set point was really the story of the entire set, Leaf.
Well, it says a lot about the pressure Safin's trying to apply, but how in the second set he's gotten a little sloppy in getting it done. I mean, he set this up so beautifully. And look at the running Gremelmayr is having to do.
He just couldn't hit through him. That was the shot that amazed me. And Safin finally said, you know what, I've had it. So here we go into the third set. really the tone of this match right now is not looking good for Safin, because Gremelmayr is showing he can run everything down at this stage, and Safin has not found that new level, that extra gear to get it past him like Fish was able to do against Sarah in the first quarterfinal. 11-15.
Gremelmayr certainly looks comfortable doing all this running, but will it take a toll as we get into this set and into the later stages? Temperatures approaching 100 degrees on court.
Safin seems to only be winning points now when he can get into the net. It's the only time he's able to dictate play. He's down 15-30 here. The 1 point he won was when he got in. The long points are not going his way. Break points right away. Start of the third set. More negative body language from Safin. Just looks exasperated.
Let's second set.
15-40. Safin being urged on by this crowd.
30-40.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy finish. And to get around out of the way of this swing volley. But he did play it back into the big part of the court, so good chance to convert, and he does, but he's still not out of jail.
30-40. Back to deuce. Long opening game here to start the third set.
And that's what a good second serve will do for you. A nice high bouncing ball. You can still earn the short ball. Safin didn't run around it. He played his two-hander to finish that one.
Safin trying to complete the comeback. And hold serve to start the third. 15-40.
Let first serve.
So Safin holds, comes back from 15-40 down to get things started in the right direction. But in the second set, it was all Gremelmayr.
Yeah, Gremelmayr was doing a lot of things well, and one thing he did well was cover the court. He's been doing a lot of running, and that's been earning him some chances to finish. He's also been pressuring Safin with the drop shot and a little bit more acceleration on his forehand at the right times.
There was the knockdown. Safin looked like he was in a lot of pain, but got right back up. And here's that memorable second set point. do it. Gremelmayr taking the second set 6-3. Safin winning the first game here in the third. First point of Gremelmayr's service game. Safin launches the ball. Let's see the match stats so far.
And you can see from these numbers that Safin is the one trying to dictate play. He's trying to make good things happen. You know, a few more unforced errors have crept into his game, but he certainly is right in the midst of this one. He's got a great chance to still win it, but he needs to calm his nerves, take care of Gremelmayr. And Gremelmayr has figured it out, not only this match, but also his career, how to win tennis matches. And he's got a great pair of legs underneath him, and that's the start.
When you've got those legs, why make it easy on the other guy? Only 3 unforced errors from Gremelmayr in this match.
Look at a guy like Tommy Robredo. I mean, he doesn't really possess weapons per se. You don't go, oh, he's got a big forehand or a great backhand. It's more about the legs and getting to every ball and doing the same thing point after point after point, forcing you to play a tough point every point.
30-50.
Double fault from Gremelmayr. His second. Gremelmayr with a couple of aces to offset those today.
We talked a little bit about Gremelmayr's win over Blake in Barcelona. We talked at the Open about that, but he also beat Tursunov and Nicolas Almagro on clay. I mean, Almagro is a monster. So Gremelmayr is starting to figure it out, and he's got the winning habit. And once you get it, it's hard to shake it. You know what you need to do, and he's very comfortable doing it.
Gremelmayr took Roger Federer to 3 sets in Estoril and was up a break in the third to start that. Ended up losing the match. It's been a year of arrival for Gremelmayr. 1-all here in the third. The ranking is at 89.
Love 15.
And for Safin, he can never really relax on the forehand because that's not his natural side. He has to think a little bit more about it. And most players have a side that they have to think a little more about than the other. Just loose. Cannot afford loose errors right now. Final set.
Love 30.
Double fall for Safin makes it love 30. Again, the winner of this will play the winner of Roddick and Jekyll. And if Roddick gets through that, I could see both of these guys posing much different problems for Andy Roddick, but problems nonetheless. As Gremelmayr showing that pace isn't something that really bothers him. Safin avoids going down love 40.
30.
Safin #1 in the world back in November of 2000. Could have ended the year #1, instead ended at #2.
He was one match away a couple of times, and I think it was Gustavo Kuerten who stole that from him, really. Kuerten went undefeated at the year-end champ. That was just a remarkable performance.
Kuerten, who won 3 French Opens, says that week was the most memorable of his career when he beat Sampras, Agassi, went undefeated, claimed the year-end ranking. Break point, stole it away from Safin. Oh. Double fault, 2 in that game have put Gremelmayr in control of the third. Safin frustrated, he's down a break. on the shores of the Pacific Ocean this week. It's part of the Olympus US Open Series at the Countrywide Classic in Los Angeles. Marat Safin has just fallen down a break of serve in the third set. 2 double faults in his last service game. See what he has left for the rest of the way.
15.
Safin's already launched a ball out of the stadium. Haven't seen a racket break yet, though. So he's not completely frustrated. And for Gremelmayr, let's see what he learned from that Federer experience when he got up the break early against Federer and melted down, couldn't hang on to it. Let's see if that happens today against Safin, another Grand Slam champion. Safin's making it easy on him. 40 love.
Gremelmayr.
Gremelmayr not getting any resistance from Safin. 3-1 lead. And for the latest score standings, TV schedules, log on to USOpenSeries.com if you want to get up to date on the Olympus US Open Series. And go there all summer long. The fans here want Safin to get back in it. 1-3 down.
When you're playing in this kind of heat, the crowd can be a factor because they can bring a little bit of extra tennis out of you.
Reminder to catch some classic Venus and Serena matches on Sister Act week next Monday through Thursday at 9 Eastern. Forehand unforced errors, 15 from Safin, 0 for Gremelmayr. Gremelmayr with just 4 unforced errors of any kind in this match.
Out. 15-30.
Safin
Mr. Safin is changing the call
chase
on the
review
left
coming.
baseline. Ball was called out.
Yeah, the chase review may be the last desperate act of a desperate man as he was vainly hoping to stay alive. And if you are tired like Safin, how about a serve and volley? Try and change it up. Play a short point.
He has really wilted here. At least he has a little shade there. Two from point blank range. Safin has missed at crucial times. The first one gave the set to Gremelmayr. This could give Gremelmayr another break, 15-40. And the unforced errors have just skyrocketed, 33 now in total for Safin. These are like missing dunks in basketball from the range he's missing those overheads. There it is. It appears Safin is mentally and physically done. We'll see if Gremelmayr can close the door on this second quarter final here on Tennis Channel. Gremelmayr leads 4-1. Dennis Gremelmayr has opened up a 2-break 4-1 lead here in the third set against Marat Safin.
15.
Karina Morari is now going to be with us the remainder of the match. Karina, it looks like Safin has just wilted down there. Is it as much apparent to you on the court as it is to us up here?
Even more apparent. He is bright red. And it is hot down here. It's dry, but the temperature is extremely hot. There's not a breeze.
Should a player like Safin, consider wearing a hat when it is this bright? I mean, just to deflect some of that glare and the heat?
You know, I was never a hat wearer myself, so even on really hot days, I wouldn't wear a hat because I just wasn't used to it, and the benefits didn't outweigh the disadvantages in my mind.
Yeah.
But that would be an option at this point. I think probably by now it's too late for him. He's already gone.
You can see from that thermometer, we've been hovering around the 100-degree mark since we walked on court. The heat has not gone away at all.
Remember Yvonne Lendl when he used to wear the hat with the complete cover around the neck?
Yeah,
it was like,
the back of it.
I thought he was going in an excavation somewhere.
Didn't get it. Little life left in Safin. 30 all.
30 all.
Yeah, and this has been his strength, his willingness to run after every ball. He's been tireless. And in its own way, it has been a weapon because Safin has felt the pressure to overplay.
Gremelmayr with the hat turned backwards. That's sort of 21st century Lendl, right? He's got the neck covered, just a different way.
They don't allow that in the French Foreign Legion, though. You have to keep it. You have to keep it to the front.
But you know, Lendl, he was an innovator in a lot of ways people don't realize. He had that hat with the thing on the back. He used the sawdust to dry his grip. Then came turn a grip.
He trained off court.
Did train off court. Safin stays in the game. Deuce. You know, Lendl also, correct me if I'm wrong, was the first guy that would start the trend of bringing out the new racket for new balls.
Yeah, he did. He changed his rackets. I think he's probably the first guy to put them in plastic bags, like the dry cleaning.
Yeah. Now they all bring out the new racket when the ball change happens.
Well, that's a good serve. For a right-hander to read that serve from the left-hander, very tricky. And he located it in a great spot. Didn't hit it with tremendous pace, but it's like real estate. It's location. It counts.
Back to game point for 5-1. And Gremelmayr sprints out to a 5-1 lead. A game away from his third semifinal of the year, his first hardcourt semi. He made the semis in Barcelona and Estoril earlier this year.
It is impressive for him to play the way he's playing on a fairly fast hardcourt. I think today it's actually playing slowly, but he's been doing a lot of tremendous defense, great running. And you know, that willingness to just put one more ball into play. I mean, you really have to be comfortable in your own mind about what you want to do out there, and Gremelmayr has been impressive today.
He would love to end it here.
And I think so would Safin probably. the way Safin looks, he's looking a little tired. But once Safin lost his serve, early in the second set.
30-15.
He never really had much of a chance. I don't think he had a break point on Gremelmayr's serve.
No, he didn't.
He just hasn't been able to sustain that level he had early on.
First ace of the set for Safin. Carries him to game point, 40-15. Oh, that's when you know it's going your way.
40-30.
Can you see Gremelmayr, though, posing a problem for a player like Andy Roddick in the semis if Roddick wins?
I think the way he's playing, he can pose problems for a lot of players. He's beaten some of the best players in the world, and he's only growing in confidence.
Safin hangs in there. When we return to Los Angeles, Dennis Gremelmayr will be serving to knock Safin out. Dennis Gremelmayr serving for a spot in the semifinals. He's up 2 breaks.
Love 15.
And guys, I'm down here courtside, and we've mentioned Safin struggling with the heat, but on the changeovers, he's not doing anything to combat that. No ice towels, no cooling off.
Do you think this was just a sign of surrender, Karina, or?
Completely. Because, but even when it appeared that he was starting to struggle with the heat, that's why I'm not wondering if it's the heat or if it's just mental fatigue or just kind of checking out. Because if he was really disciplined about combating the heat, he would at least try to put some ice towels around your neck. You see players do that when they're overheated.
At least take more than 1 sip of water. Come on.
30-15.
Safin has never been past the quarterfinals here in Los Angeles. Last year he lost to young Tyke Lee at this stage. And Gremelmayr looking for match point. And he'll find it.
40-15.
Dennis Gremelmayr trying to prove a point after getting knocked out of the Olympics. He is still a force to be reckoned with. Dennis Gremelmayr is a semifinalist here at the Countrywide Classic. When Gremelmayr arrived in Los Angeles, he had lost 9 straight matches. Here in LA, though, he's one of the last 4 men standing. Dennis Gremelmayr upsets Marat Safin in 3 sets in 1 hour, 45 minutes. We'll return to hear from him in just a moment. Dennis Gremelmayr pulling off the latest upset here in Los Angeles, knocking out the number 5 seed in 3 sets. Karina Morayu is standing by with our newest semifinalist.
Thanks, Sam. Dennis, one of the best wins. Good about that performance.
Yeah, that's for sure. It was an unbelievable good match for me, and yeah, I'm very proud of me that I played today this tennis.
And Marat seemed to be struggling with the heat and the conditions a little bit. You looked fresh as ever. Is conditioning something that's important for you to work on, an important part of your game?
Yeah, of course. The conditions at the moment, they are pretty good for me. I'm from the conditioner perfect prepared, and yeah, I tried to play as much as possible in the court, let him move, and yeah, I think it was a good job of me.
Well, you definitely played a lot in the court, only 7 unforced errors, and that's a difficult task against a big hitter like Safin. What was the key for you?
Yeah, the key, I tried always to put the ball always as much as possible in the court, and Yeah, was like not so easy at the beginning. He played pretty strong, and I had a lot of problems. But at the end, I think I did it pretty well.
And you have another match coming up against Andy Roddick or Mark Jagel. What are your thoughts going into your semifinal?
Yeah, we're gonna see. It's like a tough match. Both are good players, and yeah, we're gonna see.
Well, good luck. Congratulations. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Karina. Congratulations to Dennis Gremelmayr. She mentioned only 7 unforced errors today. They played 156 total points. Quite an amazing effort. Gremelmayr books his spot in the semis along with Marty Fish earlier today. Gremelmayr will meet the winner of the Roddick-Jagel match. You can watch that at 11 o'clock Eastern tonight on ESPN2. Delic and Del Potro will play in just a moment. Time for our Olympus shot of the day. And we go back to Dennis Gremelmayr and the great defensive skills. This was second set, and it was set point. And that allowed Gremelmayr to win the set. How about that, Ken? That is your Olympus shot of the day. So new celebrity in the Los Angeles area, Dennis Gremelmayr. Our latest semifinalist here at the Countrywide Classic. Gremelmayr, a 3-set winner over Safin.